I used to wake up, check every box with green smoothie, every morning workout, and perfect 8 hours sleep. And still, I feel as if someone had pulled out my batteries overnight. Does this sound familiar to you? Tired all the time? Then today's episode is for you. Today I'll answer a question I often hear, but almost never hear an answer to it in a way that people can understand to the core with any real science or tools to get started. So the question we want to explore is, why am I so tired when I'm doing everything right? And I know this frustration myself. I think most people do. So let me tell you about my story. One day, a few years back, when I was a PhD student, I truly believed I was doing everything right. I woke up early, drank water and smoothie, and went to the gym, and got the sunlight, ate balanced meals throughout the day, and went to work. In the evening, I did my breathwork exercise. But when I checked my heart rate variability that evening, expecting to see a very calm and recovered pattern, what I saw instead was red. My nervous system was still on high alert. That was the moment that it really clicked for me. Our bodies don't always respond to our checklists. They respond to how we feel, to how safe we are. And that insight changed everything for me and how I think about our bodies. This show is about learning to listen to those signals too. Interpret them to adjust, not just do the habits as if we were just robots. Reading our body and understanding it is key to real recovery and true energy. I can already now reveal to you that the answer to our question has everything to do with misunderstanding what energy is. So let's get clear how you get energy and where it comes from. Then you can steer your boat better to get the energy level that you need. No more tired after this episode. You will get a package of tools to get started with more energy in your life. Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the Reset Lab podcast, where we blend science with practical tools and advice to help you lower stress, sleep better, and build resilience in your life so you can live healthier and more in tune with the life that you want. This podcast is about making science simple, actionable, and personal to you. You will hear latest research, older research, but explained in a way that makes sense for you in your everyday life, along with stories, strategies, and protocols that you can actually use starting today. I am Susanna Søberg, a metabolic scientist from Copenhagen University in Denmark. I am also the founder of Søberg Institute and Thermalist, and I am the author of Winter Swimming, the first science-backed book on cold and heat exposure. Thank you for tuning in today. Let's get started. Let's start with the basics, but also the magic, your mitochondria. If you want to get more energy in your life, you need to listen to this episode. You will be guaranteed to get another perspective of what actually is going on, how energy is created, and how you get more of it in your life. Inside every cell, you have tiny energy fabrics, and they are called mitochondria. They are like the engines that turn the food you eat and the air you breathe into ATP, your body's main fuel. This happens through a stunning, complex, but beautifully efficient process that powers everything you do, from walking and thinking, recovering from workout, or process the food that you eat. But where do mitochondria come from? Let me give you a little background story and history lesson. Mitochondria were once free-living bacteria. About 1.5 to 2 billion years ago, a primitive human cell swallowed a tiny bacterium, but instead of destroying it, the two formed a partnership. The bacterium evolved into mitochondria, as we know today. This origin story, known as the endosymbiotic theory, helps explain why mitochondria still have their own DNA. It also reminds us energy is ancient. It's deeply woven into who we are. Flash forward 2 billion years today, and the tiny bacteria became known as the mitochondria. And the host cell evolved into human. So, here we are. This endosymbiotic theory of mitochondria origins came from a biologist named Lynn Margulis in the 1960s and is now widely accepted in the scientific community. Mitochondria have their own DNA passed through the maternal line and have structural, biochemical, and DNA features very similar to a bacteria. Mitochondria aren't just passive. They respond to everything we do, everything that helps our energy and everything that doesn't. They adapt to how we live, good choices and bad choices. But as mentioned, sometimes we are deceived by the word energy. Let me give you an example of that. Have you ever felt low on energy and then thought, I'll just drink a soda, and then I'll just maybe drink another soda and maybe an energy drink to get some energy. But then after you feel completely tired and you feel sluggish, or of course I'm not talking about you, but maybe someone you know. That's because these quick fixes give you a spike in sugar and dopamine in your brain, but your mitochondria pay the price. When we treat our mitochondria well with oxygen, good functional breathing, good nutrition and exercise, and balance our nervous system, our mitochondria thrive. That is because with these exercises and choices, we are creating our own energy in the body. But if we are chronically stressed, inflamed, or overloaded with sugar because we mistakenly think that more sugar is more energy, their ability to make ATP drops. That's when you feel tired, even if you feel that you've done everything right. Yeah. Just to show you how important mitochondrial health is to you, I'll mention a landmark paper from Rolfe and Brown, and it's from 1997. It's an old physiological study, which shows that around 90% of our resting metabolic rate comes from mitochondrial activity. So energy is burned in the mitochondria at rest. Imagine if those mitochondria are not really working well, then you cannot really burn when you are resting. So it isn't just about calories in and out, it's about how well our cells are making ATP from those calories. Let me explain that to you. You have heard it before. Mitochondria convert the nutrients we eat into a form of energy our cells use. This is ATP, or it's also called adenosine triphosphate. It's increasingly seen in playing the central role in everything that ails us and ages us. Mitochondrial dysfunction is a hot topic in the scientific world and in the health community, and with good reason, I would say. By knowing how and why mitochondria make energy and how you can unleash that full potential using proven health strategies, you can gain a happy, healthy life with more years. So let's explore your cellular ecosystem and dive even more into the geeky world of mitochondria. Hang in there. In a few minutes, you will see why this is important, and you will get my guide on how you can increase mitochondrial health, because when you understand how your cells make energy, you will never think about your health the same way again. Energy in, energy out, it's not the same. The why goes with the hows. Motivation or dedication fades off if not backed up by whys and hows. Of course, understanding it completely isn't necessary for enhancing your mitochondria, but it gives you a glimpse into your microscopic self. And that keeps you motivated and dedicated, because then you have both the tools, but you also know the whys. Now I'll just give you a fast recap of the cell. Each cell in your body is a bustling ecosystem of organelles, tiny specialized entities with distinct functions. So you have the nucleus hosting our DNA, and the machinery for self-replication takes center stage. In the cytoplasm, it's a gel-like substance surrounding the nucleus, and then ribosomes act as assembly plants, constructing proteins from amino acids with messenger RNA as the guide. Then we have the Golgi apparatus. It serves as the packaging plant, you can say, processing, modifying, and sorting and packaging proteins and lipids. The endoplasmic reticulum ensures quality control and produces vesicles. These are specialized small sacs for transporting materials within and outside the cell, so it goes back and forth in the cell. And then there are the lysosomes, the peroxisomes, and the mighty mitochondria. In total, just know that this structured magical system in your cells influences everything from emotions to your behavior. And now just reflecting on the fact that mitochondria were once independent life forms offers quite a humbling perspective, I think, on our existence. An intricate ecosystem intertwined with the natural world, we are nature. This doesn't make you a plant, of course, but we do have something in common with them. And you will understand that in a minute. Before we continue, I want to thank our sponsor of the Reset Lab podcast, Filter Optics. Their blue light blocking glasses have really made a difference for my stress level and my sleep. One of the biggest enemies of good sleep is light at the wrong time, especially blue light from screens. At night, blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. That keeps cortisol high and delays melatonin production, which your body needs to get into that deep restoratory sleep. That's why I use filter optic glasses, and I've used them for several years now. They've created two simple tools. Daytime glasses, which filter just the right amount of blue light so that you can protect your eyes from the harmful blue light from screens. Perfect if you spend hours at the computer, which I do. Nighttime glasses, which blocks blue light completely. When I put those on in the evening, it's like giving my brain permission to just wind down. Melatonin rises naturally, cortisol drops, and I feel ready to go to bed. And there's some great science behind it. A 2021 systematic review found that wearing blue light blocking glasses in the evening significantly improved sleep quality and supported circadian rhythm alignment, which is so important for your wake and sleep cycle. I recommend that you try these out if you want to get a better sleep and lower your stress. Try Filter Optics. I'll link to them in the description and give you 15% off with my code. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference. How does your mitochondria work to create energy? This is a crucial point. After your microbiome and digestive system break down the ingested food into simple molecules and your blood transport them to your cells, the journey into your mitochondria really begins. Through a bewildering series of chemical reactions, don't need to go into that specifically, but mitochondria transform glucose and other simple sugars into ATP, the universal energy currency for plants, animals, and humans. Plants create ATP through photosynthesis, while animals break down simple sugars. ATP, an immensely effective energy storage molecule, rapidly releases energy. Pow! The more proficiently our mitochondria and cells generate ATP, the more energy we possess for thinking and moving and living and realizing our dreams full on. And this is the problem, right? We don't have that energy. Let's move into chapter 2, my guide to improve mitochondrial health. Here is how. I will give you science-backed ways to increase your energy level. Eat more antioxidants and even create them yourself. Let me explain how it works. But first, let's understand why we need antioxidants. Every time your mitochondria create energy, the ATP I talked about, they also generate free radicals, highly reactive molecules that are missing an electron. Because of that missing electron, they behave like a magnet gone wild. They wipe around you and your cells, desperately trying to grab electrons from nearby structures, just like your DNA or your proteins. Think of it as little molecular thieves smashing into your cell walls, bang, 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 and stealing and destroying. When a free radical steals an electron from your DNA, it can damage genetic instructions. When it hits a protein, it can change its protein's shape. Proteins need precise 3D structures to work correctly. So even tiny damages changes how they function. Like folding a paper airplane the wrong way. It doesn't fly. See? So, some free radicals are useful. Your immune system even produces them deliberately to kill virus and bacteria. But too many free radicals cause inflammation, fatigue, accelerated aging, and diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's disease. Your body needs ways to neutralize the damage. That's where antioxidants come in. Antioxidants are molecules that generously just donate electrons to stabilize free radicals. When that happens, the danger is disarmed and your cells are protected, just like a paper airplane folded exactly the right way. Antioxidants are critical, especially when your system is under stress, from things like illness, pollution and pesticides, smoking, and even lack of movement, which in itself creates cellular stress and inflammation. Now I want to give you some tips to increase antioxidants, the science-backed way. Eat more polyphenol and antioxidant-rich foods. Food high in natural antioxidants help clean up free radicals before they cause any harm. Here's a list of science-backed nutrients that will give you a boost of antioxidants. Berries, and especially blueberries and blackberries and raspberries. Dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, beet greens. Red cabbage, red onions and artichokes. Dark chocolate, that will be chocolate that is 70% plus, green tea, matcha tea, extra virgin olive oil, spices and herbs, turmeric, ginger, oregano, thyme, rosemary. Let's see what the science shows. A big review on this is from Manach from 2004. Let me break down what the paper actually says. It says that polyphenols are tiny plant compounds that act like molecular bodyguards, slowing down the wear and the tear that leads to heart disease, cancer, and other degenerative illnesses. The paper maps where these polyphenols are found, which are in berries, cacao, olives, herbs, teas, etc. It shows how farming methods and factory processing can raise or lower their levels. It explains that the benefits you get depends on absorption. Some polyphenols move easily from your gut into your blood, other needs help from your gut bacteria, and some are just get lost if food is overly processed. The big takeaway from this paper is that polyphenols we eat the most aren't always the ones that we absorb the best in the body. That's why variety matters. Dark berries plus the greens plus the herbs plus high quality olive oils gives you a broader polyphenol portfolio. The author concludes that knowing which polyphenols are best absorbed in your intestines will help us focus on the foods that actually deliver health benefits, rather than just the ones that look good on a label. The list I just gave you absorbs quite well. So, okay. Moving on, how can you build your own antioxidants in your body? Your body can also produce antioxidants on its own, like glutathione, catalase, and superoxide dismutase. These internal defense systems are activated by small controlled stressors. These are called hormetic stimuli. Something you probably heard me talk about a lot, which is called hormetic stress. This is the good stress, which we can create ourselves. Here are some tools for that. Aerobic exercise. Zone 2 training improves mitochondrial efficiency, but also in itself it creates oxidative stress, but boosts antioxidants enzymes as well. Short-term fasting or time-restricted eating triggers protective cellular repairs pathways, just like something called autophagy, and upregulates antioxidant systems. Cold exposure and functional breathwork trigger mitochondrial resilience and antioxidant gene expression. In short, a little stress force adaptation and make your body better at making energy. Let me explain this with science. Why exercise, fasting, cold exposure, and functional breathwork causes oxidative stress and it boosts antioxidants. First, you should see them all as exercise. They increase free radicals, and yes, and that's normal, but the antioxidant system is activated too. During any exercise, your muscle use a lot more oxygen, up to 100 times more than at rest. This massive boost in oxygen use naturally generated reactive oxygen species, so this is called ROS, or just free radicals. These are the unstoppable molecules missing electrons that I talked about earlier. These ROS, or free radicals, can damage fat, protein, and DNA if they aren't neutralized. But free radicals aren't always bad. They are messengers too, helping your cells adapt and grow and become stronger. So that's why exercise is good for you. Think of them like tiny signals in the body. When you lift weights, or you go for a run, co-plunge, or you do the fasting or functional breathwork exercises, these signals prompts your body to adapt each time to get fitter, faster, and more resilient. So this is how these exercises also activate your antioxidant defenses. Your body levels it out. We are born with internal antioxidants. These are enzymes called catalase and glycogen peroxidase. When you exercise regularly, your body upregulates these systems. It produces more antioxidant enzymes and becomes better at neutralizing these free radicals. In short, your mitochondria make energy, but it also makes waste. And if that waste isn't neutralized, it can damage your entire system. Antioxidants, both from your food and from your own adaptive biology, helps clean that up. When you support your own antioxidant system, energy production goes up, you feel clearer, more vibrant, and more resilient. That was antioxidants as a way to improve your mitochondrial health. Now I want to take you a little bit deeper into something just as important, where in the body you are actually losing your energy. And how can you get it back? Increase your mitochondria with cold exposure. Let's now look at another piece of the puzzle. How to increase more energy by creating more mitochondria in the body or improve their efficiency. Let's talk about brown fat. In another episode, I have gone more into details about the overlooked organ we have and explained to you why it's so vital for you and what it does for your health. In this episode, I want to explain briefly what brown fat is and how you can increase mitochondria with cold exposure. Understanding this is key, because if you know where energy is made and lost, you can start making the right choices in your daily life. During this episode, I give you clear protocols you can follow, and yes, you can download them for free in the description below. Have you ever heard about brown fat? This is a highly active type of fat that actually burns calories. Yes, burns them. Just to produce heat and energy, it's rich in mitochondria and it plays a major role in regulating your metabolism. There is a process called browning, where the body can convert certain fat cells into more metabolically active ones. So let me explain that. Inside your fat tissue, you have what is called pre-adipocytes. Think of these as baby fat cells or even stem cells. They can grow up to become white fat cells, which mostly store the energy, not very active, or base fat cells, which are more mitochondria rich and can burn energy, like the brown fat. When we do the right things, like cold exposure, exercise, and specific dietary strategies, we can encourage more of these pre-adipocytes to become beige. And that means more mitochondria, more energy burning, and better metabolic health. What's the difference of these fat types and how do we burn them and create more energy in the body? We often think of fat as something that we just want to get rid of, but not all fat is the same. In fact, some fat can actually help us burn energy and stay warm. Let's see how it works. You have 3 main types of fat in your body. Number 1 is the white fat. This is the fat type we are most familiar with. It's like your body's energy storage. When you eat more than you burn, white fat storage becomes bigger, meaning that white fat grows and it doesn't do much metabolically actually, meaning that it's not helping you burn energy. And it has very few mitochondria in the cells, so it's not active. It just sits there waiting to be burned or grow. Number 2 is the base fat. Now this is interesting. Base fat is like a convertible fat. It sits somewhere between the white and the brown fat. Under the right conditions, white fat cells or undifferentiated cells, or called pre-adipocytes or baby fat cells, can transform into base fat cells. Base fat contains more mitochondria than white fat, which means it can burn energy, especially when you stimulate it with cold exposure or fasting. You can think of it as white fat in training to become more metabolically active. Number 3, brown fat is the metabolically powerhouse we have. It's packed with mitochondria. That's why it's brown. The main job of brown fat is to burn energy and generate heat, a process called thermogenesis. This helps maintain your body's temperature when you are cold. But what's really exciting is that brown fat can increase your overall metabolic rate, meaning it can help you burn more calories even when you're not exercising. What an amazing tissue it is. So, white fat stores energy, base fat has the potential to burn the energy, and brown fat actively burns the energy. And here's the key takeaway. You can recruit more beige and brown fat through things like cold exposure, movement, and fasting. That's what we'll cover next. How do we do that in a daily life and why it works? Your body isn't fixed, it's adaptable. And that's the opportunity you have to get more energy from within the body, not from sodas or energy drinks. Out with that. Brown fat and base fat are metabolically active tissue. They are like built-in furnaces, and when you activate them, you burn more calories. Even at rest, you do that. That's not just good for your weight, it's good for your energy, blood sugar levels, regulation of that, and overall metabolic health. And here's the most exciting part. You can stimulate the growth of more brown fat and base fat cells. You can build more mitochondria in the body, and you can make the ones that you have even work even better. How cold water immersion creates more energy in your body? You might wonder, okay, but how does getting cold actually give me more energy? It shouldn't, right? Well, listen, your energy doesn't come from coffee. What this creates is an increase in noradrenaline and dopamine, which creates chemical and physiological mechanisms in the body that activates your sympathetic nervous system. It works and it's great, but real energy, natural created energy, which essentially is what makes you reflect, how do I feel, am I tired, comes from your cells and especially from your mitochondria. When you challenge them with a short, sharp stress like cold water immersion, you are doing something very clever. You are giving them a reason to get stronger, to adapt to the circumstances to survive. And that's essentially what your cells want, to survive. And a clever short amount of stress is enough to build your cells stronger and more vital. Cold is a metabolic wake-up call. It's a smart way to build mitochondria in your cells. When you enter cold water, even for just a few seconds, your body suddenly says, we need heat to survive. It activates brown fat cells for that and it burns energy, which is sugar and fat, but it also just creates the energy by building more energy fabrics in your brown fat cells, the mitochondria. So they get stronger for next time. It's adaptation and your body is screaming, we need energy right now. So the body levels up for next time you want to go into the cold. Let me walk you through the process. Your brown fat kicks in and starts burning fuel just to keep you warm in the water. That means it's demanding more output from your mitochondria. But it doesn't stop there. Just like lifting weights, building muscles, repeated cold exposure tells your mitochondria, We need more of you and fast. And your body listens. It starts building new mitochondria, especially in brown fat and in base fat, and also in your muscles, actually. This is called mitochondrial biogenesis. Biogenesis means building up. More mitochondria is equal to more power. The more mitochondria you have, the more ATP or energy you can make. And not just during cold exposure, but all day long. So this leads to better energy levels, improved fat burning, and sharper focus, and more energy to your brain in general. Better blood glucose as well, or regulation. In short, you become more efficient. Your cells can do more with more mitochondria, and that helps every organ system in your body. Cold triggers hormetic adaptation. Here's something that I've talked about before, and maybe you've listened into this. Hormetic stress. This is when a little bit of stress makes your body stronger. Cold is one of the most powerful hormetic stresses we know. In response to cold, your body increases levels of noradrenaline, and that is for alertness and attention and just getting ready to fight. Your dopamine rises, that is for drive and mood. Your cells activate genes that boost your antioxidant defenses, and your metabolism just ramps up to create that heat in the body from within, not just from your muscles, but from your brown fat and mitochondria working together. The cold also helps you feel the energy, not just physiologically, but also mentally. People who do regular cold water immersions or exposure report that feeling more alive and feeling more alert and focused. They feel less brain fog, better sleep quality, and greater emotional resilience. They feel more energetic. It's not just a feeling, it's real biology behind it. It's happening on a cell level and in your brain, so you physiologically feel it too. Pretty amazing. Cold exposure creates actual neurochemical changes in your brain, boosting dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline in a balanced, neutral way that doesn't just crash afterwards. This is real, measurable energy from inside your body, not from external stimulants like a soda. If you're feeling tired, sluggish, or stuck in low energy mode, cold is really a powerful key to unlocking the energy that already is inside you. It builds better mitochondria, it trains your vascular system, and it strengthens your nervous systems. Your nervous system's response to stress. In a way, cold water is not just a therapy, it's a signal to your biology to wake up and evolve and perform and adapt at a higher level. Energize with exercise. Exercise is one of the simplest and most reliable way to upgrade your mitochondria. When you move, your muscles demand more oxygen and nutrients. Your heart pumps faster, your lungs pull in more air. All the extra workload is essentially a loud message to your mitochondria. We need more energy now. Here's what happens. Behind the scenes, first, the mitophagy, your cells, tag their old sluggish mitochondria for recycling. Think of it as spring cleaning on a microscopic scale. Next is mitochondrial biogenesis. Your body makes brand new mitochondria to meet the extra demand that you are exposing it to. Simple. More engines, more power. How much exercise do you need? Well, the answer is about 150 to 180 minutes at Zone 2 activity per week. This aligns with global health guidelines and is backed by a 2024 systematic review of 353 human studies. And there is something really fascinating about this. The meta-analysis found that different types of training increased mitochondria in the muscles by about the same amount, whether it was endurance training, high-intensity interval training, or sprint interval training. Endurance training increased mitochondria by 23%. High-intensity interval training increased them by 27%. Sprint interval training increased them by 27%. But per hour of training, sprint interval training was the most efficient. It gave 2 to 3 times more mitochondrial benefits than HIIT training did, and nearly 4 times more than endurance training. So if you are short on time, sprint interval training can be incredibly efficient. Also, good to know that, right? The benefit applies to men and women, across all ages, even post-menopausal women. Training 2 to 6 times per week showed the best mitochondrial improvements in this meta-analysis. They also found that the lower your initial fitness was, the bigger your gains were. So whether you are walking or dancing or just doing interval training on a bike or gardening vigorously, it all helps and it all adds up. So remember that everything counts. My general advice is stress for success. It's tempting to avoid discomfort, but just small controlled doses of stress are exactly what keeps us adaptable. That gives us energy. That concept is called hormesis, like I mentioned before. When you lift heavier weights, skip a meal, or step into the cold water, you nudge your biology out of its comfort zone. In response, your cells get leaner and more efficient. They clear out old mitochondria and build new, stronger ones. Think of these brief stressors as rehearsals for resilience. A challenging workout, a short fast, or a time-restricted eating window. It could be a cold plunge or a cold shower. Done safely and intentionally, these teach your body and your mind to handle bigger challenges. That's how your body shifts from survival to performing at its best. I've learned the hard way that late night screen time destroys my sleep. Blue light keeps cortisol high and blocks melatonin production from doing its job, which is help me sleep. That is when I turned to the blue light blocking glasses. Now I use the daytime pair from Filter Optics when I'm working at my computer, and then I switch to the nighttime glasses in the evening. The difference in my stress and sleep has been huge. And it's not just me. The science is really clear. In 2021, a systematic review by Hester and colleagues looked at 29 studies, including 16 randomized controlled trials. They found strong evidence that wearing blue light blocking glasses in the evening helps people fall asleep faster, especially for those with insomnia, jet lag, and shift work. They even noted benefits from mood regulation in some conditions like bipolar disorder. The reason? These glasses block the specific wavelengths of blue light that delays melatonin production and disrupts your circadian rhythm. So, if you're serious about improving your sleep and lowering your stress level, I can honestly recommend Filter Optics. You'll find a link in the description to get 15% off with the code SUPER. Or just go to filteroptics.com and use the code there. So to wrap it up, mitochondria, once a free-living bacteria, now it decides how much energy you have to think, to move, and to live. Keep them efficient by giving them antioxidants from nutrients. This could be colorful plants and healthy fats. Challenging them with exercise. This is zone 2 and strength work. It could also be HIIT training. Surprising them with hormetic stress. Cold exposure is one of the most potent ones. Remember, chronic uncontrolled stress is harmful for you, but brief chosen stress, stress you control, builds both mental and physical resilience. Each time you step outside of your comfort zone, you come back as a little bit stronger, a little bit more energized, full of mitochondria, and a lot more alive. And that is what we want. Start low, go slow, and listen to your body's signals as you explore these tools, and just take one at a time. Talking about tools, I have made an energized protocol for you based on today's episode. You can download it for free. In the episode description, you can see how. It's a simple guide that includes how to get started with cold exposure safely, how to structure your weekly exercise for maximum energy. It's a list of mitochondrial-friendly foods that I have mentioned here, breathwork to support the stress regulation and mitochondrial health. Try it out and please let me know how it goes. It's so important to me. Lovely people, if you've made it this far, you now understand your tiredness isn't just in your head, it's in your cells, and you can do something about it. This episode wasn't just science for the sake of knowing, it was for doing. Because when you understand how energy is made in the body, how mitochondria respond to cold movement, stress, and recovery, you can start to shift things back into your favor. So here's what I want you to remember. Your body is not broken, it's just waiting for better inputs. Remember, in the description of this episode, you will find the free Energize protocol. It's a simple starting point based on everything that we talked about today in this episode. Download it, print it, and tape it to your fridge. But most of all, just remember, use it. One step at a time. I believe in you. You don't have to fix everything in one take or in one day. Just start with the next choice, the next cold shower, the next little short workout, the next breathwork exercise, or just try to fast a bit and let that stomach growl. And if it works, tell me. I want to know how your energy changes, how you sleep, and how do you feel more energized if your brain is more clearer and your body feels like it's belonging to you again. This is your journey back to energy, to focus, to yourself. If this episode helped you, please share it with someone who is tired, someone who needs to hear you are not lazy. You are just depleted and there is a way back. Until then, see you next time on the Dr. Super Show.